The Wire follows the drug trade of Baltimore, Maryland from both the perspective of the cops and the criminals. Today I want to take a look at the travelling ring of Season 4. If you remember, the character Old-Faced Andre has a nice looking ring which Marlo brings attention to in a meeting between him and Andre where they discuss Andre getting robbed by Omar. It's quite interesting that this ring travels around quite a bit, going from owner to owner until you could make the argument things come full circle. Andre is the initial owner of the ring. Where he got it from, who knows? Maybe it has been in the family as Andre says, but Marlo eyes it up, and whether he just wants to assert power over Andre, whether as punishment for getting robbed, or just maybe because he likes it as a symbol of power, Marlo takes the ring off a reluctant Old-Face. Later, Proposition Joe entices Omar to rob a card game that Marlo is taking part in, one where he actually wins after many attempts at trying. His joy, however, is immediately cut short when Omar bursts in and robs the game. Omar takes a fancy to Marlo's ring, taking it for himself so he can wear it in health. Later, after Omar is set up for a murder charge by Marlo and Chris and Andre, Omar finds himself arrested by Officer Walker. Walker has proven himself to be a degenerate cop and perhaps the most unlikable character in the show, compounded by the fact that he takes the ring off Omar before having him thrown in the van. Then we see the boys of Summer set Walker up, messing with his car and then throwing paint all over him. Before they throw the paint, however, Michael seizes on the opportunity to snatch the ring off Walker. And then Marlo arrives at Michael's home with Chris and Snoop, noticing the ring around Michael's neck, surely realizing it's the same ring Omar took off him. Instead of launching himself at Michael, screeching "My precious," he questions where Michael got it, to which he replies,
"Took it from a nigga."
Which is pretty much what every character in this chain did. Michael asks Marlo if he wants it, but he tells him to keep it, and as far as I can remember, this is the last time the ring is ever brought up. It's interesting that Marlo notices the ring on Michael but doesn't ask for elaboration as to where he got it. He surely knows it's the same one that Omar took off him, so does he think Michael managed to get the drop on Omar and stole the ring from him? Unlikely, as Marlo was hunting Omar and he would have surely heard if Omar was found and robbed by a kid working under him. And as he was hunting him, you'd think he'd press Michael on where exactly he got it. Or maybe, for Marlo to show so much interest in the ring, he'd have to eventually admit that he was robbed for it, showing weakness, and perhaps this is why he didn't press Michael on the matter. Or maybe he was afraid that Michael would reply back in the black speech of Mordor. I guess it's more likely that Marlo figured Omar lost the ring somewhere down the line, and Michael took it off whoever had it at the time. The look exchanged between him and Chris, and the fact that Marlo allows Michael to keep the ring, is perhaps a showcase that Marlo knows this pup is the real deal, that he is gaining a level of respect for him as a competent corner boy, with potential for more. It's a strong indicator that Marlo knows that Michael is built differently. Even his answer is short, simple and vague in a manner that Marlo would have given an answer. He didn't need to brag that he took it off a cop, although maybe Marlo did think Michael took it off Omar and Michael's stature in his eyes instantly took a rise. Michael also chose to wear the ring around his neck instead of flash it around on his hand. He offered it to Marlo, showing it had no sentimental value for him, when to Marlo, ironically, the ring represents his entire beef with Omar. Perhaps if we go for the idea that Marlo does think the ring was taken off Omar, this helps build the myth of Michael, that word goes around that he got the drop on Omar, and it's one of the many things that people are not quite sure are true or not true about him. Just like how there are many legends about Omar, whether he really did jump out of that building, whether he really did have commando squads with him, and the numerous rumours as to how he died. And even a man like Marlo is buying into Mike's legend, not quite knowing where this boy's seeding is, just how good he can get, which ironically leads him to put out a hit on him in season 5 when he thinks he might be snitching. Another mistake from Marlo thinking Michael did something he didn't. He was always asking too many questions, as Snoop says. He was too different. In other words, he was a leader in of himself, a potential eventual challenger to Marlo in the long term.